This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Couple of busy hours straight ahead to look back on Saturday night's Stanley Cup playoff action, round number 2. Capitals and Winnipeg both put up 6 on their opponents. Both got victories. Both lead their series 3-2. And we'll have a chance to close it out. Also, a couple of closeout games on Sunday. Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the Boston Bruins up 3-1. And the Vegas Golden Knights are in San Jose to take on the Sharks. Golden Knights lead that series 3-2. Got you covered with all the action and a great guest lineup as well. Sean Gentille from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will join us. We'll talk. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff with Sean because it's going to be an interesting day. But Sean will give us the latest on the Pittsburgh Penguins and that loss suffered to the Washington Capitals on Saturday night. Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun and NHL.com talking Winnipeg Jets, who are on the verge of moving past the Nashville Predators and into the Western Conference Final. Yes, the President's Trophy team may be going down again. Also coming up later on in the program, Eli Segall with more on the Vegas Golden Knights. Yes, Vegas is poised to move on to the Western Conference Final as well. But the Vegas Golden Knights doing a lot of interesting things in their first year in the city. One of them is planning for future success. We'll talk to Eli about that and much more. And also happy to welcome back from The Athletic, covering the National Hockey League, Scott Burnside will join us later on in the program as well. He's been doing his best to cover that Winnipeg and Nashville series with Pierre LeBrun. Oh my goodness, those two on the loose. Lots to get into, lots to look forward to in the Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. We're live every Saturday and Sunday beginning at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, live on Facebook, on Periscope, on YouTube Live. It is a busy couple of hours ahead. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. And social media has been really busy with the games as they have been going on in the last 24, 48 hours or so. There's been a lot of stuff to dive into. So we'll look forward to your thoughts and comments on that as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. And first of all, let me just make it clear that no one was licked in the process of constructing and building this program and having it come together to give you hockey talk over the next couple of hours. Are we all done with that now? Are we all finished with that nonsense of the whole Brad Marchand and the licking and the league having to have a phone call and a conversation and say that, you know, if this sort of behavior continues, there's going to be some supplemental discipline that's going to come to? Are we all finished with that? Are we all finished with the terrible, horrible, awful, bad puns on the subject? I mean, I can't think of anything that has received more bad puns than the whole Brad Marchand thing. I did see a couple of pretty funny gifs, though. There were a couple of pretty funny gifs, and I will give you that one with Brad Marchand in the Hannibal Lecter mask and the straitjacket and everything. Okay, that's kind of funny. But the one I really liked was him with the cone of shame around his neck that you put on your dog so they don't lick an open wound or something. I thought that one was really funny. That you know, I could see some signs in Tampa with that going on today. I think that would be pretty good. So, but hope you're having a good Sunday. The weekend is moving along. We're in through to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's been good. We're at this point now where every game is an elimination game, so that adds another level of excitement and intrigue and anticipation to all of the Stanley Cup playoff games. The first few games of the series are good. I've enjoyed them. I've really enjoyed all 4 series that are going on right now. I think all of the teams have good stories. I think all of the head-to-head matchups have really good stories. Through the first few games, though, the series, we're always looking for which team might have an advantage, which team might be better offensively. Maybe there's a key player who's gotten on a real hot streak. Maybe there's a goaltender who seems to be getting particularly hot. I don't know, but now the level of consequence goes up in each of the games because it's an elimination game. All of the actions are a little more focused. We're scrutinizing everybody just a little bit closer with every game, with every shift. everybody's under the microscope and trying to find out, who might be having just a little bit of an advantage, who might be having just a little bit better of a game. And at the same time, as I'm watching the games last night and I've watched the last few days, the momentum swings, the mood swings in the games have been really quick and really dramatic. If you were watching games yesterday, whether it's Washington to Pittsburgh or if it's Winnipeg and Nashville, I saw this and felt this in both of these games, that there were times I thought one team had things under control and then really quickly it flipped. You could think, okay, so Pittsburgh has things in hand for a while, and then all of a sudden, the script flips. Same thing with Nashville and Winnipeg. You sort of get a feeling that one team has it in control, and then bang, something happens, and it changes really quickly. Through the first 3.5 weeks of the postseason, we've seen everything, really good goals. There were certainly a bunch of those yesterday. A couple of good bounces, a little good fortune. That never hurts. Goaltenders making some amazing saves. A lot of second guessing about what coaches are doing, whether it's lineup choices, line combinations. Some worked, some, well, maybe not so much. In the Washington and Pittsburgh series in particular, I'm kind of pleased that the Washington Capitals have taken a 3-2 lead in that series and that they've got the chance to eliminate the Pittsburgh Penguins on Monday night. Now, this is not slagging on the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is not cheering for the Washington Capitals. But I think that this creates more drama, more intrigue, more storylines by having the Capitals up 3-2 in this series. I think having the series tilted towards them makes it more interesting, because Washington's on top now, so it's a more captivating story that can Washington finally get past this team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, that has defeated them in the playoffs for the last couple of seasons. This is the team that we've had the Sidney Crosby versus Alex Ovechkin narrative for better than a decade. This is the head-to-head matchup. They've been facing each other in the postseason. Can they finally get by them? Pittsburgh has won the Stanley Cup in the last couple of years after they defeated the Washington Capitals. Is this the year that this changes? Oh, he's never made it to a conference final. You've had Sidney Crosby, who's won Stanley Cups. Nobody really gave the Caps much of an opportunity to win the Cup at the start of the season. There was so much roster turnover. They jettisoned a bunch of players, and you thought, okay, maybe this is a year that they're pretty good and they're all right, but maybe this isn't going to be the same kind of team that we have seen the past couple of seasons. Maybe they make the playoffs, but maybe this just is not quite the same sort of year. The three-peat might be over. After Monday night, after game number 6 of the series, maybe the possibility of a three-peat might be over. I think this is a great way to build up to the game. I think it's far more riveting than the Pens have a victory and lead the series 3-2, and they are poised to move on to the conference finals to face either Tampa or Boston. I think with Washington ahead, I think it makes Monday's game much more captivating. There's still a chance that Pittsburgh will get there, but the road is tougher now. And I think that's good for fans of the game. I think having Washington ahead in the series with a chance to win it with one more victory, I think is way more interesting. I know there's some people that are going to be relishing that because they have a hate on for Crosby or something. I just think it makes for a better story. I think it makes for better stories going into that game. But I want to look at a couple of things from game number 5 between the Pens and the Caps. Barry Trotz was one of those who took a lot of crap on social media about shuffling his lines at the start of the game. In fact, I have seen headlines and social media posts and stuff going the full spectrum on Barry Trotz. How he is an idiot for not changing his lines going into the game last night against the Pittsburgh Penguins, to Barry Trotz is a genius for making line changes during the game and eventually coming out the winner. I mean, it's the full spectrum on here. This is what good coaches do. You understand that if you make a change, it doesn't necessarily work like flipping on a light switch. It takes time. It doesn't happen immediately all the time. So Barry Trotz decided that he was going to continue with the same lineup, the same line combinations going into game number 5 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And he said they have to be better. If they're not better, then we have to look at it and make adjustments. And depending on the situation of the game, then maybe we have to make adjustments. So I don't think it was wrong to start with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov and Devontae Smith-Pelly on the top line. Now, after this line and the Capitals got into some penalty trouble and the Pittsburgh Penguins took a lead, it was just a 1-goal lead. Barry Trotz made the move. You remember that making line switches, though, it causes disruption with players. It takes time to figure out what the tendencies are of your new line mates. Sure, you've been in the room with them all season long, but you haven't necessarily played with them all season long. You're going to have a couple of shifts where it's like, okay, I need to figure this out. And we saw that with Jake Vrana, that there were discussions on the bench. We need to sort ourselves out here. They got it figured out. They played really well. Vrana's more talented offensive player. His skills were evident on the breakout pass in the third period when Kuznetsov took the puck in on Matt Murray, made a nice little subtle move, slips it between them, evens the game. And he showed he's smart enough that when Alex Ovechkin is heading towards the net with the puck, maybe you want to follow him there. Maybe you want to hang around the front of the net in hopes that there's a rebound, or in this case, a really nice pass by Alex Ovechkin. And Vrana slams it home for what turned out to be the game-winning goal. Washington added a couple of others in the empty net. A couple of other things about the final 2 goals that really cinched it for Washington. The empty netters were great, but the tying goal by Kuznetsov, the go-ahead game-winning goal by Vrana. One common element: Chris Letang was on the ice and out of position on the tying goal, and he had no clue that Vrana was approaching and a threat on the game winner. I mentioned that it's Chris Letang because he's not necessarily a friend of mine, and unlike some others, I'm not afraid to mention his name, despite the fact it's easy to see who it is. He's got great skill, but he always tries to make something happen, and that's not necessarily the best thing for Chris Letang. I don't know what the explanation is on the Kuznetsov goal. Honestly, when I watched it and saw the replays a couple of times, I thought he was going on a line change. It looked like he was going on the ice, off the ice to change lines. That wasn't the case, but make the mistake of watching the puck and watching Alex Ovechkin, and you can sure understand why you'd be focused on him, because he's a dangerous threat. But as he's moving away from the net and no longer a threat to score because the angle of the shot is going to be impossible for him to get it in, you have to at least understand and acknowledge that there might be someone else within your zone that could be a threat. And we didn't see that from Chris Letang. He's a great, gifted, talented offensive player. He can skate you out of trouble in your own end sometimes, but he makes big defensive mistakes too. Late in the game, there was also a play that's getting some attention, and it's one that sort of lit up my social media feed last night. It's the play that's getting attention because it also was a high hit, and of course, everyone's trying to compare it to the Tom Wilson, Zach Aston Reese hit. I don't know that it's directly comparable, but after watching it a bunch of times, and there's not a lot of good angles, there's not a good replays that I have seen. The ones that I have seen are very similar, and they don't give a definitive look at the hit. It's Jake Gentille who has a high hit on John Carlson, who's playing the puck behind the Caps net in the final minute of play. There's not a lot of replay, not a lot of video. The ones I've seen are not definitive, but there's some that are suggesting this is a headshot. It doesn't appear that Gentille tries to jump up or move up or have a trajectory in an upward manner, to use the legalese, to take a headshot at John Carlson. Barry Trotz didn't like it, and I understand why. And he made a point of addressing it after the game, thinking it was a hard hit. He said the league will look at it and they'll take care of it. But he is drawing attention to it. I haven't seen anything yet. I don't know that anything's forthcoming on it, though. We'll wait for further developments. Lots to get into today with the other game last night as well. Winnipeg and Nashville. Boy, did they have it going on. Scott Billeck will join us. We'll talk about the Winnipeg and Nashville series in the next segment. Sean Gentille from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette will join us. Also coming up, Eli Segall will talk Vegas Golden Knights, and Scott Burnside covering the NHL for The Athletic, all things National Hockey League. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues. We got a lot to get into over the next couple of hours. Two good games on Saturday night, two more, including an afternoon matinee with Tampa and Boston, and then Vegas and San Jose in the evening. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Wanted to look back and review a little bit of last night's game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. Caps coming out on top, and now with the chance to close it out on Monday night as they play Game 6. Sean Gentille covers the Pens. He also covers the National Hockey League for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and Sporting News. At Sean Gentille is how you follow him on Twitter. We're really happy to have him. Now, Sean, I understand that you were competing in and completed a marathon just a little while ago. That's how you started your Sunday morning. Is that correct?
I need to be direct. It was not a marathon. It was part of a marathon relay. So I ran 6.5 miles of the Pittsburgh Marathon here. I just finished like 10 minutes ago, so I apologize if none of this makes any sense. I think it doesn't quite beat the time I thought I was with you from a sailboat, but I think it's pretty close.
That's pretty awesome. You're right. I remember the sailboat, but you still, okay, so you didn't run the whole marathon, but you ran 6.5 miles, which is which is about 6.5 miles more than I would care to run. Are you like wrapped in one of those tinfoil blankets now that I see people with at the end of marathons, or not quite?
For the record, that was also 6.5 miles than I would like to have run. No, I'm not wrapped. I think if I wrap myself in a tinfoil blanket right now, I would actually cook like a baked potato. I am extremely hot.
Okay. So but because I'm curious about this, do you run by choice regularly? Is this something that you enjoy and participate in?
Yeah, I run just to stay in shape, but I had a friend and a coworker here at the Post-Gazette who was part of a relay and or had signed up to do a relay, and she got hurt earlier this week. So she asked me to take her place. I said yeah, and I did it without anything terrible happening. So all's well that ends well.
No, that's good. I'm just perplexed by people who run by choice. I mean, if a bear was chasing me or someone had a weapon, I would run. But other than that, I see no reason to participate in such a thing.
I completely understand it. It's a means to an end. I run pizza and drink beer and feel a little bit less bad about it. That's basically it.
Fair enough. Okay. I just wanted to ask about that. And I'm glad that that was very good of you to jump in for your injured friend. And I think that was great. So we'll try not to ask you too many difficult questions about the game last night, but honestly, I loved it. And I think it's from a fan perspective, I think it's great that Washington is ahead in the series and has a chance to close it out. I think it makes it more dramatic. Now, I'm sure Pittsburgh's not really pleased about that, but there were mistakes made by the Pittsburgh Penguins. I was just talking about Chris Letang and being on for the tying goal and what proved to be the game-winning goal, made some terrible defensive errors.
Yeah, that's a game that Chris Letang would like to forget, I would imagine. So he was enough of a difference maker out there. I thought Matt Murray was fairly poor last night as well, and that's enough, man. Like they yes, Pittsburgh won the possession battle. Yes, they outshot the Caps pretty significantly. Yes, the second period was about as good as Pittsburgh can play right now. But I mean, when you have high profile mistakes like that in a series that's this close, I mean, it's not going to go your way. So they played well, but what does that matter? They're one game away from seeing their season end. And yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this is great. I think this is the best rivalry. I mean, I'm maybe a little biased, but I think this is the best rivalry in the sport right now. And you know, the more 7-game, 6-game series we get out of this, the more competition we get out of it, the better.
Yeah, and I agree with you that I think Pittsburgh did play well in stretches last night. I mean, that looked like there were times when they were just going to bust through and could have scored about 5 goals in a row. But Braden Holtby was sensational. But you really saw that Pittsburgh, when they want to kick it up a notch, can take over and really dominate in terms of scoring chances.
Yeah, and then the flip side of that coin too is that they have stretches where they look terrible. I think that's really been hallmark the hallmark of their season, is that there's not a lot of consistency there. We saw, you know, not just in the playoffs, especially, you know, granted earlier in the series, you know, they played games 1 and 2, they were abysmal in the first period, particularly, and that's it. But that's standard. That's something we saw a lot from them throughout the course of the regular season. They tend to not start games well. You know, getting 3 good periods out of them is a little bit of a challenge, and it's been an issue for them all season long. And you know, like we said earlier, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly against anybody in the playoffs, and it's certainly not going to fly against the Washington Capitals, who, you know, for as much you know, mental baggage as they carry into this series, they're still a really good hockey team.
Yeah, and that's the part that I've enjoyed about the series, is that there has been good play on both sides of the Caps and the Penguins. You mentioned Matt Murray and his play. I think he's been good. I think he's been okay through this series, but I don't get the impression that he's invincible the way we have seen him in the past, and I just don't get the impression that he's going to be the one that is going to steal a game for the Penguins when they need it.
doesn't seem that way, does it? I think we saw it last night. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't a world beater either. He certainly wasn't the Matt Murray that we've gotten accustomed to seeing in the postseason overall and against the Washington Capitals specifically. You know, he hasn't been that guy. He's been outplayed by Braden Holtby, and it's that time of the year. It's cliche to say it, but it's cliche because it's true. That series like this kind of hinge on goaltending, and if there's a gap between one and the other, you know, that's a big deal, and I think we've seen that. Holtby was just better than him yesterday, and I think that was the big difference. Now that's not to say that Murray's been truly terrible or anything, but yeah, I'm completely with you. You know, you keep waiting for him, whether it was against, and this goes against this. Same goes in the Flyers series. You keep waiting for him to steal a game or two, and it's just not quite happening.
Yeah, and when you think about Pittsburgh as well as Matt Murray and his performance, I've tried to watch through the playoffs, and I want to see teams that are getting better as the playoffs move along. And I'm not sure the Penguins are one of them. Tampa is, and there's one or two others, but I don't see Pittsburgh as getting better as the playoff series moves through.
No, not at all. I completely agree. It's been, you know, it's been up and down. I think their play kind of mirrors that of their goaltender. You know, yes, they have good stretches of games. They have good full games, maybe to an extent. But then it's a little bit of it's a 2 steps forward, 1 steps back kind of situation with them. And I think we've seen that consistently. We saw it. You know, to go back to what I said, I think this series is a microcosm of their entire season. Just when you think they're going to completely break through, they fall back a bit, and there's something that's stopping them from, you know, flipping that switch all the way. That's not to say they've been bad. That's not to say they can't pretty easily win 2 consecutive games against Washington again here. But you know, this is not the team. This is not the team of 2016 or 17.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that there's nothing also that makes me think, oh, there's no chance that they can come back and take this series from Washington, because I do believe that is still a very real possibility. Maybe it starts now because, you know, Malkin's been back for a couple of games, Hagelin's been back for a couple of games. Maybe having those guys back a little bit longer maybe gets things motivated and moving for the rest of the team in the right direction.
Yeah, I think Derek Brassard too was good yesterday as we've seen him in a while. You know, I think there was, you know, and Mike Sullivan said as much after the game. There were positives for that team to draw from that game. You know, but again, that's cold comfort. You know, they lost and they're 1 game away from having their season end a bit earlier than they would have liked. But all that said, yeah, it's completely possible that they rattle off 2 in a row. You'd be foolish to not think that it was a very real possibility. But you know, all that said, you got to be realistic about the difference between this team and the last couple of years. Murray is not as good. Chris Letang is not as good. The secondary scoring, particularly on the fourth line, is not nearly as good. And the third pair defensively isn't as good. So you have those issues with depth. You have Letang's really ongoing issues, potential injury issue with Phil Kessel, blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of outstanding questions with this team that it doesn't quite make it a carbon copy of what we saw the last couple of years. But at the same time, you know, this is still the Penguins. They're still the Capitals. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are still on that team, so you'd be dumb to count them out.
Here's Sean Gentille is our guest from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, at Sean Gentille to follow him on Twitter. Here's an outrageous suggestion or theory, but the Pittsburgh Penguins accomplished their Stanley Cup run last year minus Chris Letang. This year he's back. We're pointing out his defensive liabilities. Is this? I'm not saying you're better without Chris Letang in your lineup, but maybe was there a greater emphasis on defense because Chris Letang was out of the lineup a year ago?
I don't think I agree with you. I don't think they're better without Chris Letang, but you know, you look at the guys that they had back there. I mean, you were getting big minutes out of Trevor Daley. You know, you had Ron Hainsey somehow stitch it together to play big minutes in a playoff run, which I didn't think was possible going into last spring. But he was good. You had a little bit more depth. You didn't have to rely on the Chad Ruhwedels of the world and the Jamie Alexiaks of the world to give you big minutes. So I think that's part of it. I think that defensive depth is a little bit lacking, but to me it all comes back to Murray's play. I think that's really what it is. And this is not I think Matt Murray is a really, really good goalie. I think he's going to be a really, really good goalie for a really, really long time. But if anything, this is a testament to how great he was last year. He covered up so many of their mistakes, and for whatever reason, who knows why, that's not the way things are going down. So you don't have that sort of eraser in net, and I think that's the biggest issue, really.
Yeah, and he only had to do it for 2 rounds because there was another guy who did it for the first 2 rounds for the Pittsburgh Penguins. One other,
a guy playing in Las Vegas. His name escapes me.
Yeah, right. He's pretty good, I understand too. But one other thing I want to ask you is about the hit late in the game with Gentille on John Carlson. I just think that this, from the replays I've been able to see, it doesn't look like it's disciplinary worthy. I just think there's a sensitivity about it because of Tom Wilson and what he's done.
Yeah, and you saw the reaction on both sides to the Wilson hit. Pitt fans here went ballistic, maybe more than they should have, and fans in Washington lost their minds over a dirty player getting suspended for a dirty hit. So you have a lot of sensitivity, I think, on both sides of it. But yeah, to me, you look at the ruling of Wilson's hit on Brian Dumoulin, where they said essentially that the head wasn't the principal point of contact, even though his head did snap back. I think this is a pretty similar deal to it. The head wasn't the principal point of contact. The hit wasn't high. The outcome wasn't great, but I don't think that's a suspendable hit.
No, I don't think so. Sean Gentille from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. @Sean Gentille is how you follow him on Twitter. We appreciate him going the extra mile for us right after the marathon. I think instead of carb loading, you should do some carb backfilling now with beer and pizza and all the like. Sean, thanks for this today.
Hey, Todd, anytime, buddy. And yes, I am about to take up your suggestion. That's what it's about.
Cheers. Thanks, Sean. Sean Gentille from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It's hard to see that hit we mentioned with Jake Gentille and John Carlson. It's just, there's only a couple of replays of it that I've been able to find so far, and it doesn't look like there's really anything there. We'll talk a little bit more about the Winnipeg and Nashville series and the game last night where the Winnipeg Jets kicked it into gear, scored 6 on the Nashville Predators. They have a chance to close out on Monday. Scott Billeck will join us in the next segment. Also coming up, Eli Segall with more on the Vegas Golden Knights and their future. Scott Burnside from the Athletic as well. @Hockey Unfiltered, @Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. We're back with Scott Billeck to talk Winnipeg Jets right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial Design, Mechanical Engineering and Design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Sunday edition, here every Saturday and Sunday, live beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Busy show today with the exciting 2 games on Saturday night, plus a couple of more on today's schedule as well. Tampa with a chance to eliminate Boston in an afternoon game, and then Vegas up 3-2 on the San Jose Sharks is the evening game. Great victory, another road victory in Nashville by the Winnipeg Jets. Scott Billeck covers the Jets for the Winnipeg Sun and NHL.com. Follow him on Twitter at Scott Billeck, and he joins us now. This is, once again, Scott, this was an example of the Winnipeg Jets cranking up the offense, quick strike ability, and they pumped a bunch of them past Pecorini, and now they have control of the series.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's interesting because you watched that first period last night, and you wouldn't have thought the Jets were going to be in the game at all after they kind of pretty much got badly outplayed in the first period, kind of hemmed in their zone for a good large part of it. And Connor Hellebuyck stood tall, and he made 11 saves in the period and just made sure that the Jets had a chance. And then the Jets do one of these, what are turning into these vintage passages of time where they just rattle off goal after goal after goal, and there's just nothing that teams can really do to kind of stop the onslaught once it starts. And you kind of saw that last night. Even Yannick Weber, he scores not long after Paul Stastny scored the opening goal of the game. But then, the Kyle Connor show kind of took over. He scored twice in the next 5 minutes, and Dustin Bufflin also got a goal. And all of a sudden, the Jets are up 4-1, and the Predators can't do what they did in game 4, where they got this 2-0 lead in game 4, and they just put this big squeeze on the Jets and weren't letting them through the neutral zone or anything like that. But when they're chasing the game like they were last night, I mean, they have to commit to trying to produce some offense, and that just isn't good when the Jets are just as good as they were last night, kind of on the counterattack and just being able to break out of their zone and do those sorts of things. And the Jets they took over the game, and there was just nothing Nashville could do about it.
Well, I got to say, from a fan perspective, it was way more fun watching the game last night than the slower version that took place in game number 4, because there were more chances. It was more exciting. It was just more fun to watch. But we really got to see the skill of the Winnipeg Jets through that lineup. I mean, we've seen Mark Scheifele, who's been great offensively, Blake Wheeler as well. But one of the things I mentioned yesterday, we need to see some offense from Kyle Connor, who had such a great rookie season, but has been pretty much snuffed out through the playoffs. But once he got it going last night, boy, he was terrific for Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first goal kind of opened the floodgates for Kyle. And, it had been 9 games prior to that where he hadn't scored a goal in the playoffs. And yeah, like you said, ended the regular season leading goal scoring for rookies. There was a lot of talk, through the team saying, it's not a big deal. He's playing the right way. But they moved Kyle Connor back onto the top line for last night after kind of experimenting with Nick Ehlers on the top line, and in the second period there, it just started to pay off. Blake Wheeler makes an incredible pass to Kyle Connor on his second goal. Kind of very unselfish. Wheeler could have tried to do something with that puck in front. He didn't. Pass out to Connor. He scores Connor's first goal. From Wheeler and Scheifele again. I mean, they connected on both of the goals. And Kyle, picked a good time to, figure out, to let the league know that, hey, all year he kind of flew under the radar as a rookie with Matthew Barzal and Brock Besser doing what he was doing, Clayton Keller, Yanni Gordy, all these guys, even Charlie McAvoy. And Kyle kind of, being in Winnipeg, playing, under, like Patrick Laine's and the Mark Scheifele's and Blake Wheelers, who had very good years. Kyle Connor didn't get that kind of recognition as a rookie as a lot of guys did. And, he said last night he kind of comes out and says hello to the, to the hockey world and it kind of shows him what he can do. And yeah, they got scoring from him. Matthew Perreault came back into the lineup after missing, 7 games with an upper body injury, and he gets a goal, obviously, on the power play, and that's a big goal for the Jets as well. So yeah, secondary scoring came last night. When you weren't getting a lot of scoring from the top line, obviously Mark Scheifele scored later on in the game, but yeah, to get that secondary scoring, which they didn't have much of anything at all in Game 4. So to see that from the Jets last night, obviously a big boon for them, and it obviously propelled them to an away victory in Game 5 to put the Predators on the brink.
Scott Billeck is our guest, covers the Winnipeg Jets for the Winnipeg Sun and NHL.com. At Scott Billeck is how you follow him on Twitter. 6-2 is the final for Winnipeg over the Nashville Predators on Saturday night, a chance to close out the series when they head back home to Winnipeg on Monday, and then potentially it'll be San Jose or Vegas in the Western Conference Final. I don't mean to get ahead of myself. You mentioned, Scott, that Matthew Perreault came back into the lineup last night. Paul Maurice did a little bit of line juggling, moving Kyle Connor up. Having a healthy lineup allows you to do that. And for the Winnipeg Jets to have their full lineup healthy and get Matthew Perreault in, get guys back to where they're accustomed and familiar playing on that top line in the case of Kyle Connor, I think that was a big help for the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime that you can insert Matthew Perreault into the lineup and have him play wherever you want him to play, and knowing that he's going to elevate the game of whoever his line mates are, I think is good. They missed Matthew Perreault. They struggled with Matt Hendricks a little bit in the lineup because they just didn't have that fourth line threat as much, and then it kind of had a little bit of trickle down effect to the third line as well as they tried to kind of manage without him, and so having him, obviously getting Joel Armia back the game before was a big deal too. So getting those two players back and, like you said, getting healthy. When the Jets have all 4 lines healthy, they have 4 threats that teams have to game plan for, and that's been a big thing for the Jets all year when they were healthy. Was having those lines, and it's hard to contend with them all because you need your other 4 lines to be very good at shutting down the opposing team's offense and all of their players, and it's just not an easy task to do. So yeah, and Matthew Perreault just brings so much to the game. Very good on the analytical side of the game, very good at puck possession and ozone entries and that sort of thing. So just having him back, it changes the complexion, obviously, the lines, and being able to kind of put him wherever he needs to be. And obviously he got rewarded. There was this whole kind of controversy whether he was a healthy scratch last game or not, and they didn't want to kind of to juggle the lines after a win and that sort of thing. But to have him back in the lineup for the Jets, it obviously paid off for them, and it kind of just proved that when the Jets are healthy, pretty much anything's possible, and they can pretty much beat. They can beat any team on any given night if everybody's rolling.
Yeah, and it's amazing when you're winning how these little controversies, if you want to call them that, go away pretty quickly as well. It was nice that Matthew Perreault got a power play goal in the third period as well in his comeback. The 2 goals that went in on Connor Hellebuck, Yannick Weber, you mentioned, it was a terrific goal. It was a really terrific shot on the rush that he had. The Ryan Johansson goal, it was shorthanded. It was just kind of a that one looked a little bit leaky. Now, I'm not going to get overly critical on Connor Hellebuyck because there were 40 shots on goal again last night. He made some terrific saves, but that kind of goal, we've seen a couple of them. It's just kind of, you'd rather those ones didn't go in the net.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because this series has been, you watch two Vezina caliber goaltenders, both of them up for the Vezina this year, and you watch two goalies just get kind of pretty much on different nights get kind of eviscerated by the other team's top scoring threats, and you saw that obviously with Pekka last night. He didn't have the best outing, and then Connor Hellebuyck pretty much went all season without giving up, maybe he gave up one or two kind of what you would call them a softie or a bad goal and that sort of thing. And he's, in this series, he's given up a few. I mean, the shorthanded goal is just a terrible breakdown by the Jets and probably shouldn't have happened, but, that was it. And 2 games ago in Game 3, he had a tough time in the first period. I don't think Connor Hellebuyck's playing bad. He's obviously saw him bounce back from that. He makes 38 saves last night. That's nothing to scoff at. Had a pretty good game. Does he need to play a little bit better? I don't know. I mean, I think, just maybe eliminating 1 or 2 of those, what you call softy goals, might be a thing. But, I mean, we got to give credit to the Nashville Predators. They got good shooters. They got good players. I mean, you saw that, even Yannick Weber, I mean, he had barely played for until Game 4, and he comes back, and that snipe last night was something to behold. I don't see much of an issue with how Connor Hellebuyck's playing. He could, maybe just tighten the 5-hole a little bit on a certain couple of goals throughout the series. But other than that, he's done, for the most part, kept the Jets in the game. You saw them last night in the first period. He kept the Jets in the game and given them a chance on pretty much every night so far.
Yeah, you really can't ask for much more than he's provided. You're right. It's just the perception of that's maybe not the strongest goal that went in against him. Regardless, it was a big 6-2 victory, and now Winnipeg gets back home with a chance to close it out on Monday night. And I am sure they would love to do that because there's no need to go back to Nashville. Although it's a great town, I'm sure they don't want to go back there again and have to have a Game 7 against the Nashville Predators. I don't know if you were able to hear it or feel it in the building. I don't know if they've got another CF-18 flyover planned for Monday, but I'm thinking that they're going to have to close more streets around Bell MTS Place because the response in that city has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, all credit to the fans here in Winnipeg. I mean, they've been, unbelievable on showing off the city, on showing, I guess, some would say the right way to kind of cheer on a team outside in public. We have so many thousands of people kind of outside in one small area kind of cheering the team. But, this team, you got to remember about the Jets, and they didn't have a team. They lost an NHL team. It's been over 20 years ago now, but for 15 years they didn't have an NHL team. And so when you go through that and when you lose, kind of what you could call and say about your city and say, hey, we got an NHL team, blah, 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 and it kind of puts you on the map in hockey world, especially in such a hockey mad country and a hockey mad market that Winnipeg is. And so, I think you see, you're just seeing people kind of embrace what the Jets are doing and that sort of thing. And I think, on Monday, it's going to be the biggest gong show that we've seen so far in this playoffs, because it's, people are going to be excited about this one. I mean, the Jets closed out the Minnesota Wild at home, and it was pretty nuts in Game 5 in the first round. And with the chance to do that here, I think Winnipeggers are going to come out. I don't know. They haven't released the plans yet of what they're going to do on Monday in terms of are they going to expand it, bigger and better. I mean, this thing's already gone on. It's huge, right? I mean, you see the camera shots on TV, and they're really only just showing you like Donald Street, which is right next to Bell MTS Place, and it goes on for 2 blocks, and it's just a sea of fans. But then you don't always see the streets that are kind of the cross streets that also that are packed with fans, and the numbers outside now have swelled to bigger than the amount of people that they can even fit into the arena. So it's going to be a very interesting sight. It's going to be very, the atmosphere is going to be just, incredible. I mean, you're going to see something that, that you don't often get to see in a lot of hockey cities. And I think, that thing, you don't hear it as much inside. I know when the CFA teams flew over, you could hear it inside. I mean, it was a pretty low flyover, so I don't know what they're going to do again. But, just for the Jets to be able to kind of close it out in Winnipeg and to know that they have all that, fans, like, I kind of wish I knew what it was like just to kind of be out there on the ice and see and just experience what it feels like to be kind of down on the ice and have all these fans going nuts. And I think that's just been a big boon for the Jets. Obviously, they've lost a game at home, but I think they're gonna, I think they're gonna show up and play on this one. I mean, the fans are there and everybody's, there, and that's always just extra motivation for them.
Good on them. They've earned it. That's Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun and NHL.com. At Scott Billeck to follow him on Twitter. Good stuff today, Scott. Hey, word of the day too. Eviscerated. I like that. Thanks for this. We'll do it again soon.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Scott Billeck from the Winnipeg Sun. Jets with a chance to close it out against the Nashville Predators on Monday night. Yeah, you thought the atmosphere was good last night. It'll be something in Winnipeg. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports. We'll squeeze in all the stuff that we can in our remaining minutes. Oh, and I want to get into a little bit of the so-called controversy that they're trying to manufacture and churn up again in Toronto with Austin Matthews and Mike Babcock. We'll do that coming up. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis coming up right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues. One more hour to go. Coming up in hour number 2, Eli Segall from the Las Vegas Review-Journal will join us. We'll talk a little bit about the Vegas Golden Knights, the great success that they have had in year number 1, and they are already looking ahead to successes in subsequent years. And good for them, not just thinking, hey, this is great, this is fantastic. They are already looking ahead and planning ahead for the years to come. Scott Burnside from The Athletic also coming up to join us in hour number 2 as well. We'll catch you up on all the stuff from Saturday's action in the National Hockey League. Look ahead to the Sunday games as well. Tampa Bay Lightning, Boston Bruins in the afternoon. The Lightning with a chance to close it out. And then Vegas with an opportunity to finish up their series against the San Jose Sharks. Puck drop shortly after 7 p.m. Eastern in that one. The the hype manufacturing controversy machine got cranked up again yesterday, and I am still simply not buying that there is an actual controversy between Austin Matthews and Mike Babcock of the Toronto Maple Leafs, star player and coach. This started just after the Maple Leafs were eliminated from the postseason by the Boston Bruins, when someone speculated that there might be an issue of the relationship between the two, and it got completely out of control. I'm still not buying it. Do a player and a coach disagree? Yes. Is there a divide in the relationship? Sorry, I am not convinced. You have a mature coach that can be challenging and difficult on players, and you have a player who has just completed his second year in the league and has been under the spotlight in a major market where any sort of deviation from the norm is pounced upon and seen as a problem. The story that was reported on Saturday evening is that Mike Babcock was traveling to see Austin Matthews and see him and have a discussion about what's going on. Now, further reported by Pierre Lebrun, Mike Babcock was already planning on being in Arizona, Austin Matthews' off-season home. It wasn't that he was necessarily making a special trip to have a meeting with him. He's stopping by while he's there on vacation. Mike Babcock is also going to happen to see Frederik Andersen, the star goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs, in his home country as well. Is this typical for a coach to travel and see players? It doesn't happen every day. Sometimes a new coach coming in will do that and go meet players in the offseason. But you know what? Mike Babcock isn't typical either. He visits and meets with CEOs of ginormous companies to find out things that they've learned, ideas that he might be able to incorporate and take into his world. He is way more than just a coach. He is doing everything he can to make himself better, to make his players better, to make his team better. I am not buying this BS that there is a controversy, that there is a rift, that there is a problem in the relationship. I believe it is a manufactured controversy. And with it, of course, now comes the speculation, since Lou Lamoriello is no longer going to be the GM of the Leafs. Oh, what's going to happen if Kyle Dubas becomes the general manager? What's that going to do to Mark Hunter? Oh, if Mark Hunter becomes the GM, what's that going to do to Kyle Dubas? Shut up. Brendan Shanahan is the man in charge. Whatever happens, he is the one in control of. He is the one who is making the choices and decisions and has the ultimate power. When he arrived, this was a dumpster fire out of control. He brought in Lou to put out the fire and empty out the dumpster. This is now the next phase in the plan. I'm not buying this manufactured controversy, wild speculation that there is a problem. Sorry, not accepting delivery. Funny how this only pops up after the Leafs lose a playoff series. This is a good team on the right track. Don't screw it up by listening to the nonsense. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. A busy hour number 2 coming right up after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Good hour number one. Lots of good hockey talk and discussion, and more of ahead of it in hour number two. Eli Segall from the Las Vegas Review-Journal will join us in just a little bit. We'll talk about the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, sure. We'll talk a lot this hour about the Vegas Golden Knights and their game number 6 against the San Jose Sharks. Knights leading the series 3-2 and a chance to close it out and move on to the Western Conference Final. But also about what Vegas has done off the ice and some of the reasons that they have been successful in year number 1 and how they are already looking and being successful in years number 2, 3, 4, and beyond. We'll talk to Eli about that and much more. Also joining us in our number 2, Scott Burnside from The Athletic with all things NHL. He's been closely involved with the Nashville and Winnipeg series. That's a tough assignment to have, to go to Nashville to endure a couple of hockey games there. That's tough. So Scott will join us in this hour as well. We'll look ahead to the games on Sunday's schedule. Boston, Tampa Bay, Lightning up 3-1 in the series, an afternoon contest, and as mentioned, it's Vegas and San Jose in game number 6. Couple of interesting stories from each of the Capitals, Pittsburgh, Washington, and Winnipeg and Nashville games. All that and much more at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. To reach us, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Oh, yeah. A bunch of interesting stuff in the Washington and Pittsburgh games. Barry Trotz was getting roasted before the game. How could you not change up your lines? What are you thinking? It was a close game for half of it. When Pittsburgh took the lead, Barry Trotz decided, okay, well, we'll try a little countermeasure. I don't blame him for starting with the same Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Devontae Smith-Pelly top line. He did make the change. Jacob Vrana came in. Things worked out well. And I like that it's Washington ahead of Pittsburgh, headed into game 6 on Monday. Caps with the lead in the series. I think it makes it much more interesting for potentially the next 2 games. I'm not writing off Pittsburgh. I'm not hating on Pittsburgh. I'm not pumping Washington's tires. I just think it's a more interesting story with Washington up in the series versus Pittsburgh. In Nashville, man, oh man, those Winnipeg Jets turned on the Jets again. They were sensational. It was something to watch. Close game in the first. Connor Hellebuck made a bunch of good saves. He was good. And it was interesting in this game right from the start. The 2 buildings have great atmosphere, but they're different. Winnipeg is the whiteout. It's very fan-generated. Nashville is music and catfish and stars coming out to perform the national anthem. It was Lady Antebellum last night. Maybe it was a sign of things to come, Nashville. There was a little flub of the words in the Nashville anthem by Lady Antebellum. Hey, you know what? It happens. They owned it. Put up a funny little social media piece after that, showed they were embarrassed, said they were sorry, said go Preds. I didn't see a lot of mean tweets about it, which is good. They did it last year during the playoff run. It was great. It was perfect. You know what? Everybody has a brain fart now and again. It happens. The Cinco de Catfish with the sombrero, I thought that was good. Lineup changes in this game as well. Kevin Fiala back in. Matthew Perreault back in. And there were some great chances in this game. Both ways. But the scoring, man, it was something to watch. Patrick Laine, he's back. He didn't get the goal in game number 5. He had the power play goal right near the end of game number 4. He didn't get the goal because it went in on off the glove of Paul Stastny. Put the peg on top, but that was quite the snipe. Yannick Weber had a terrific goal. Connor Hellebuck was good. But the Winnipeg Jets and their offense, it was sizzling. Kyle Connor got going. Scheifele and Wheeler had great games again. If Winnipeg is going to get this secondary scoring, the top line keeps going, Connor Hellebuck keeps going, look out Nashville. And once again, not that the loss to Winnipeg in game number 5 was his fault, but does some doubt once again start to creep in about the goaltending of the Nashville Predators? Is the level of concern about Pekka Rinne's ability to get the job done starting to come maybe to the frontal lobe of your brain again? I don't blame Peter Laviolette for getting him out. I'm not blaming him for some of the goals that went in. There was a lot of good scoring and a lot of really good plays by the Winnipeg Jets. And again, I'm not assigning blame for 6 goals on Pekka Rinne. But once again, the Winnipeg Jets offense gets going. The Nashville Predators, much discussed defense for this entire regular season, gets talked about. And I don't know. Is there a little bit of doubt starting to creep in? Not suggesting that Jussi Saros is going to start in game number 6 or anything like that. But I haven't seen the Pekka Rinne Vezina Trophy nominee who is so sensational so frequently during the regular season. I haven't seen that same thing in the playoffs. Put him in. He'll start again on Monday in game 6. I get that. And I expect we'll attempt to see a better game from Nashville. But you got to know that Winnipeg is going to be humming at home on Monday night and hoping to close out that series. Not that the loss was his fault, but the doubt starts to creep in a little bit. Now, you start to think to what's happened, the level of concern. Had a little meltdown in game 3. Great performance game 4. Bunch get in and bunch go by him in game number 6. Or excuse me, game number 5. What will we see in game number 6? He's been a little inconsistent. He's not completely to blame, but you wonder. I thought AJ Malesko on the NBC broadcast did a great job describing the chaos and calamity that was going on in the Nashville zone on so many occasions as well. I think in particular it was around the goal by Dustin Byfuglien. That made it 3-1. And after the Jets scored that goal, the 2-1 goal, they were all over the Predators. They were just pumping shots left and right. It leads up to the eventual goal by Dustin Byfuglien, and it was a total gong show in the Nashville end at that point. One good chance after another. And at one point I'm watching, and I think every Nashville player who was out on the ice was also standing in the crease with Pekka Rinne trying to block shots. I mean, that's the frenzy that was going on in this game. Now, that AJ Malesko did a really nice job describing what's happening and what you're feeling, what's going on in the players' minds as they are out on the ice, as they're attempting to quell this onslaught by the Winnipeg Jets. She describes that you were in total scramble mode. You lose all sense of defensive structure, and it is just crazy desperation. You're trying to block shots. You're trying to clear the puck out of the zone. And regrettably, it doesn't nearly work as often as you'd hope it would. Eventually, the Predators could not survive this nonstop attack by the Winnipeg Jets. The puck wound up in the back of the net. But I thought AJ Malesko did a really good job of illustrating what exactly is taking place. And I think she's done a good job in that series as well. There's still a lot of people who don't get to hear enough about the Winnipeg Jets. They're not the great new guy story like the Vegas Golden Knights. They're not the team like Nashville that went really far, got to the Stanley Cup final, and are hoping to change the outcome this year. They didn't make the playoffs a year ago. They come from a place that's not overly popular or particularly sexy or a big name, glitzy and glamorous city, but they got a hockey team. And they've got some of the best young talent in the league and some very talented veteran players as well. They play a high tempo, really exciting style of hockey to watch when they can stretch their legs. This team is also just starting to enter the time when they can compete for and conceivably win a Stanley Cup. They are just starting to enter that zone. In fact, I'll go back a little bit. The current roster of the Winnipeg Jets reminds me a little bit of the Chicago Blackhawks team that won the Stanley Cup in 2010. They had some very good young players that were just coming into the league and really starting to elevate their status. And at the time, I'm watching Chicago and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be a really good team. But I think it might take them another year or so before some of the players mature and they find their way through to win it all. Funnily enough, check out the names on the cup from that year. Dustin Byfuglien's one of them. This has a similar feel to it for me. Winnipeg feels this year like the Hawks felt in 2010. Wheels could still go completely off. And Nashville could go in to Winnipeg in game number 6 and play the kind of game they did in game number 4 and come out with another victory. And then you got a coin flip in game number 7. It could happen. I'm not sure if it will. Nashville's really good. President's Trophy winner, most points of any team in the league. But the Jets were right there with them in the standings, only a few points behind. If you haven't seen much of the Jets yet, they're worth watching. I'm getting away from myself, or I'm getting way too far down the road and thinking about this. But if it's Winnipeg in the Western Conference Final, that's going to be a hell of a series, no matter if it's the Vegas Golden Knights or if it's the San Jose Sharks. It's going to be a hell of a series. Now, after the game on Saturday night with the Nashville Predators, where Winnipeg was victorious, of course, you get the obligatory post-game interviews. And now what is becoming almost a daily clickbait story is what's going to happen and what was said in the post-game. And this quote was attributed to Nashville Predators defenseman PK Subban, who said afterwards, quote, "We're going to go to Winnipeg. We're going to win a game and come back here. It's that simple." So, of course, what that is taken as and churned out as the headline clickbait, Subban guarantees victory in Game 6. I just read the whole quote. I didn't hear PK say guarantee. I saw him being confident in his team's ability and his own personal ability. And is there anything else that you would expect him to say? Besides, yep, we lost tonight. We're going to go on to Winnipeg for the next game, and we're going to get a victory. If PK Subban in this case, or any other player who is in a similar situation and has lost a game, were to offer something other than 100% confidence or waver in the slightest with that, like we'll go up there and we'll hope to get a win, he's going to get absolutely murdered. And how can you even approach a game in any other way than to have 100% confidence and say, yep, we're going to go out there and win it. It's ridiculous. Would anyone else, if they expressed anything but total positive outcome, imagine the reaction that would come. So now it's like, oh, well, we're going to go win. PK said we're going to go win. Well, that must be, it's a guarantee. Don't believe all the nonsense. Don't get caught up in all the hyperbole. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Lots to get into today. We'll talk more about the games on today's schedule. Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, the afternoon contest. Bolts with a chance to close out that series. They lead it 3-1. And no Torrey Krug in the lineup for the Boston Bruins as well. Also coming up this evening, Vegas Golden Knights, San Jose Sharks, game number 6 of that series. Vegas with a chance to win it and then move on to face an opponent in the Western Conference Final. Eli Segall has some nice information about what's in store for the future of the Vegas Golden Knights, not just on the ice, but in terms of the business and the ticket sales and all that's going on. We'll get into that as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues right up through to the top of the hour. A busy Sunday with 2 games. I like that this is it's at the point now where it's 2 games. You get one, then you get the other. It's good. You can just sit down, focus on what's going on. I love the busy nights during the regular season where you got 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 games, whatever it is, on given nights where you get super busy and jumping around. But I like these games and days where you can just kind of park yourself and then really savor each one that's going on as well. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Good action last night. It was Washington Capitals with a victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. 6-3 was the final. Couple of empty net goals kind of skew the final score, but what a game. Terrific. I think it's excellent that it's Washington that is in the lead of this series and has the chance to close it out. I think that makes for a much more dramatic Game 6 than if it's Pittsburgh that was up 3-2. And Pittsburgh, well, they've won back-to-back cups. And no, I guess I would not be completely surprised to see them win 2 in a row and move on to the Eastern Conference Final as well. Winnipeg Jets with a 6-2 victory over the Nashville Predators. That score is much more reflective of what the actual outcome of the game was. Winnipeg Jets had the offensive machine going, and man, when they get going, they can score. Boston Bruins in the afternoon, no Torrey Krug against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That will hurt. That will hurt. Vegas Golden Knights in San Jose to take on the Sharks in game number 6 of that series. The Vegas Golden Knights have had an exemplary first season in the National Hockey League, and they are already looking ahead to years 2, 3, and beyond. Eli Segall is of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and he's done a number of pieces chronicling what the Vegas Golden Knights are up to, their successes in year 1, and how it will play out in years 2, 3, and beyond. At Eli_Segall is how you reach him on Twitter. He joins us now. Eli, thanks for the time today. We appreciate it. And just to start off, this Vegas Golden Knights team, we've seen and heard stories of it all season long, but this is an unprecedented debut by an expansion franchise in any professional league, I would suggest.
It is, yeah. Nobody expected the team to be this good. I mean, if you look at the track record of any expansion team in the NHL or probably really any major, professional sport, I don't think any team has done this well. And, people were excited here in Vegas for the team. It's the first major professional sports franchise to come to Las Vegas. There have been minor league teams, and there currently are minor league teams here in Las Vegas. And there have been minor league hockey teams here in the ECHL and the IHL over the years, but this is the first major league team. So people were excited about that. And there was a decent amount of buzz before the season started, but certainly no one expected the team to be this good.
Well, and the success on the ice has translated into crowds inside the building. There was the season ticket drive. There was the big sign up to subscribe for season tickets. But now, not all of the season tickets were multi-year commitments. A number of them you could get out after year number 1. Certainly the on-ice success has contributed to the demand, but now there is an enormous demand for season tickets for next year and beyond.
Yeah, they've already sold out of season tickets for the 2018-19 season. Now, the season tickets comprise about 80% of all the seats inside T-Mobile Arena, the Golden Knights home rink. And there are other packages that they offer 10-game packages and that sort of thing, and single ticket sales. Or single game sales rather. So they're not totally sold out of all the seats. I think a lot of those tickets are going to go on sale this summer when the NHL releases the team schedules. But as far as full season tickets, they are totally sold out for next season. They actually sold out. They were sold out by mid-March, is what their VP of ticketing told me recently.
That's wonderful, and again, that's a testament to taking the success on the ice and translating it into the city, because I'm sure they're not just sitting by the phone waiting for it to ring as well, but to create interest, to create a demand within the city is something special that they've been able to do.
They have, yeah, and they've definitely done a lot of marketing. I mean, when you drive around town, you see a lot of Vegas Golden Knights billboards, and I mean they are getting the team out there, and they're spending money and time to market and advertise the team. But there's just been a tremendous response locally from the fans. I mean, you drive around town, and I remember at the start of the season, I'd drive around and I would see kind of a smattering of people wearing hats and shirts and bumper stickers. And definitely as the season has gone on and the team has just proved unbelievable on the ice for an expansion team, the amount of paraphernalia and whatnot that's being sold has definitely increased, and the rate of sales has gone up. I mean, the Fanatics folks told me right before the Golden Knights started the first round of the playoffs against the Kings, that the Golden Knights were the number 1 selling team for merchandise through Fanatics Network, which includes, as I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, they operate NHL.com's retail site, and they operate the Golden Knights retail site, and I have to imagine they operate other teams' online shopping sites as well. And the Golden Knights have been number 1 in merchandise sales through that network, basically, I think, since the start of the season. And the rate of sales, as they told me, definitely accelerated as the season went on and the team got better and better.
The other thing is that it's great to have lots of fans in the building, but now that you have fans in the building, I'm sure they're trying to create demand through radio, through television broadcasts and the like. But how does that help them in terms of sponsorship sales throughout the city as well?
I'm not sure. Actually, it's a good question. It's not something I've tracked, so I really couldn't tell you. So yeah, unfortunately, I just don't know the answer to that one.
No, that's fair. That's understandable. But it creates more opportunities. If you have a demand, it creates opportunities in other areas of business, which is something that Vegas is also going to have to look at to be a successful franchise long term.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I actually used to live in the San Jose area. I grew up out there, and I worked for a weekly business paper in San Jose before I moved to Vegas about 6 years ago. And one of my beats was actually covering the Sharks as a business. And I remember even then, I think back then, this was like 2011, 2012, the team was doing well. They weren't, obviously they've never won a Stanley Cup. They've never gone that far in the playoffs. But I remember at that time, they just found anything to make money off of inside the building. I think they were even selling advertising space or sponsorship space above the entryways to the luxury box suites. So I actually personally have never been to a Golden Knights game, so I don't know the extent of what they're sponsoring inside the building, but if they're not doing that already, I'm sure they will in the coming years.
Eli Segall of the Las Vegas Review-Journal with us. At Eli_Segall is how you follow him on Twitter. The other interesting thing about Vegas is that we were surprised, okay, they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to win their division, but I love that the interesting approach that they had to their postseason tickets as well, because they like everybody, would love to have all Vegas Golden Knights fans in the building, and they went about it kind of differently than some other teams did.
Yeah, they did. They did what's called the Knights vow, and it wasn't something that was locked in stone, and even if you agreed to it, you could get out of it. It wasn't, I don't think it was anything that was contractually obligated to follow, but basically what it was that if you agreed to take the Knights vow, as the team called it, you could get a better discount on your playoff seats if you agreed not to sell your tickets on StubHub, which is the team's official secondary ticketing site. Now, the VP of ticketing, Todd, he told me this past week that about 15 to 30% of season ticket holders opted out of that pledge. And frankly, it's hard to blame anybody for wanting to opt out because the resale prices have just been huge. I mean, you go to SeatGeek or StubHub or any of these other secondary sites, and the minimum price, at least what I'm seeing, is $200 to $250 for just at a minimum to get inside the building. Now, if you want to have your nose up against the glass, those can cost $3,000 to $4,000 on the secondary sites for these Golden Knights home playoff games. So the prices have just been tremendous, and I think it's fair to say that there are a lot of people out there who are thinking, hey, if I can get $700-800 for a playoff ticket, that sounds pretty good, and I'll just watch it at home.
Now, how sustainable is this kind of demand in the city? I mean, there's certainly an interest right now because it's new, because it's fresh, because they're achieving such great success. I'm not sure that they're going to win their division every year in the years going forward, but how do you build a strong foundation with a team like this?
It's tough to say. I mean, as you and your listeners know, sports fans can be very fickle and very fair weather. So the fans here in Vegas have been very spoiled, to say the least, to have a team just be so tremendously successful in their first year. And as we were talking about, and as you know, this just really doesn't happen. So it's tough to say. We'll find out eventually once the next year starts. We'll see how much of the roster stays the same, what kind of start they have to the year, and whether that intense fan support that they've gotten starts to dwindle. So it's really obviously way too early to tell what will happen. But I wouldn't be surprised, if the team has kind of a weak start or if they lose a lot of their key players for whatever reason, if some of that tapers off, only because the support has been so high and the sales have been so tremendous that you'd almost expect it to cool off a little bit. But you never know. I mean, obviously no one expected the team to do this well either. So who knows?
Yeah, they've been exceeding expectations all season long. But even all right, the renewals for next season, those that had the option of renewing, I mean, it's almost 100%, isn't it?
Yeah, it was more than 90%. So they again, I don't know how this compares to other teams, the way they structure their season tickets, but the Knights offered several tiers of season ticket holders, if you will. You could lock in for 3 to 5 year memberships or 2 years, and so among the fans who just got the 1 year package for the inaugural season only, which comprised about 25% of all season ticket holders, among that group, they had more than 90% renewal for the upcoming season.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good for Vegas. Eli Segall from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, at Eli_Segall is how you follow him on Twitter. Eli, thanks for this. We appreciate the info. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, it's been a great story in Vegas with the crowds that are growing and showing up at the Vegas Golden Knights practice arena, getting bigger and bigger, and players spending time and signing autographs with them. As you're driving down the strip and you see the Statue of Liberty outside of New York, wearing a Vegas Golden Knights jersey, it's a story that has captivated the whole city, and it's the Vegas Golden Knights in San Jose with a chance to close out their series in 6 games in San Jose. We'll talk a little bit more about that series, the game tonight. I don't know. The 3 of the 4 could still go 7 without much stretch. Boston and Tampa, I think, is a tougher ask, but we'll look at that a little bit before the hour is out. Coming up in our next segment from The Athletic, Scott Burnside will join us. Looking forward to catching up with him, and he's been focused on that Nashville and Winnipeg series and the great stories going along with that. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Back with much more after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Sunday edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis continues right up to the top of the hour. Get you set for the Sunday games with Tampa and Boston in the afternoon, Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks in the evening. Saturday, it was Washington with a victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins, a chance to close it out on Monday. The Winnipeg Jets with another road win in Nashville over the Predators. They, too, have an opportunity to close out their series coming up on Monday. Scott Burnside from The Athletic is all over the Winnipeg and Nashville series. You can follow him on Twitter at Overtime Scott B, and he joins us now. Have you left Tootsie's yet, Scott, and made it back to the hotel, or are you still out celebrating and enjoying the revelry?
Well, you know what happens in Nashville stays in Nashville, so I can't. It's actually interesting because I'm standing in the hotel recently vacated by the Winnipeg Jets. They had a little press availability this morning. They stayed last night after the game, and I just watched their buses head off towards the airport. So they'll be jetting back to, if I can use that term, jetting back to Winnipeg this afternoon. And we chatted with Blake Wheeler and Paul Stastny and head coach Paul Maurice this morning, and it was, once again, I don't think any of this is a surprise to people who've watched the Jets this season. But what they have done in this series thus far has been pretty darned impressive in terms of their ability to to poke holes in a Nashville lineup that I think a lot of us, myself included, felt had the best defensive core in the NHL, had a goaltender who was going to win the Vezina Trophy, and they have at various times in this series made mincemeat of the entire operation, scoring 4 times in the second period last night en route to a 6-2 victory. It's the second time in the series they've scored 4 times on Pekka Rinne in the second period, and the second time in which Pekka Rinne has given way to Jussi Saros, and really it's not even Pekka Rinne's fault. I mean, this is a guy who's getting no help at times because the Winnipeg offense is so dynamic.
And yeah, they've been absolutely surgical at times too. And it may be, I don't know if you want to say it's getting worse for Nashville too, because prior to last night, Kyle Connor didn't have a goal in the series. Well, he got going. Patrick Laine had the power play goal in overtime in game number 4. He had a nice deflection off the glove of Paul Stastny last night. He looks like he might be getting going too. Now, if Nikolai Ehlers can also get going for the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, that makes their task even more difficult.
Yeah, and Paul Maurice talked about it a little bit this morning as well, and certainly yesterday leading into the game with Matthew Perreault drawing back into the lineup. Really, this is as healthy as they have been literally all season, and certainly since Paul Stastny came aboard at the trade deadline. This is the first time that Paul Maurice has had, certainly up front, a full complement of forwards to employ. Matthew Perreault, very effective in his first night back, and you're right. It's just, like there's no tailing off, I guess, is what we're saying here. This is not. This is not a Jets team that surges and then disappears for 3 or 4 games. I mean, they have got it all going on, and they are a team really just brimming with confidence, and to win as emphatically as they did in a very difficult place to play, like Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, and now with a chance to go home. And really, I know it's all historic now for this Jets franchise, having won their first ever playoff game back against Minnesota, won their first ever playoff series. Even going back to the first generation of the Jets, they never advanced to a conference final. This is a chance, for a city that has been in full-on Jets party mode for an entire season, to go to another level, and the prospect of going to a Final Four in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it's going to be, I can't wait. It's been terrific to be in Winnipeg and watch it firsthand, but I expect Monday evening will drive that wow factor up even further.
Yeah, no doubt, and good for Winnipeg. They've waited a long time. They've earned it, and they've enjoyed it this season. But if you're Nashville, okay, so now you have to go to Winnipeg, and you have to win on the road again. You have to find a way to do it. They were successful in game number 4 by dictating the style of play in that, well, they used the trap. They slowed them up in the neutral zone, and it baffled the Winnipeg Jets, and Nashville was able to be successful. Is that the route you expect they will have to try to go again to get another victory in Winnipeg?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you are Nashville, you have to go back to a blueprint where you did have that kind of success. As you note, they won that game 2-1. The only goal scored by Winnipeg was the Laine goal in the last minute. So really a 2-0 game, and really, I thought that was not a game that Nashville built a lead and then hung on by their fingernails, and they really did not allow much in terms of sustained pressure by the Winnipeg Jets. I thought that was by far their finest defensive game of the playoffs. They moved the puck quickly and crisply out of their zone. They didn't get bogged down, which is what happened last night. Turnovers and rebounds that could not be cleared. And the Jets, so opportunistic last night, they didn't get those kinds of opportunities in game 4. And so if you're Peter Laviolette, I mean, I must admit I was a bit baffled that he went away from the winning lineup in game 4, taking Scott Hartnell out and reinserting Kevin Fiala. Not that Kevin Fiala was bad, but I was just a bit surprised that when you have success and you even the series as they did in Game 4, why mess with success? But no one asked me. no one from the Predators asked my opinion before. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Scott Hartnell come back into the lineup, because even though he didn't score, I thought he was very effective. And Dustin Byfuglien, who'd been so dominant in the Game 3 victory and who was again last night an absolute beast for the Jets, was nullified in many ways in Game 4. Now, it's not all Scott Hartnell's doing, but certainly his veteran physical presence there, it was just a different change in tenor or tone in terms of how the Predators were able to defend the Jets. And so obviously they would like to get back to that. The key is, you can't fall behind. You can't fall behind the Jets, and that will be a tall order given the emotion that is going to be permeating the arena in downtown Winnipeg on Monday night. And so that's a challenge, I think, for Nashville. Listen, we always talk about weathering the storm. They can't just weather the storm. They have to push the pace, and they have to be able to get on the board and allow their defensive game to take over, to dictate the pace. They can't chase. They've chased a lot of this series. Even last night, the Jets scored first. The Predators answered right back with a nice Yannick Weber goal. But then in a matter of 5 or 6 minutes, there were 3 more goals past Pekka Rinne, and the game was lost. It was decided then. So the Nashville has to, I think, establish a presence early, and I think they have to score and force the Jets into a kind of place they don't want to go, and allow the Predators to play that kind of stifling defense that we saw rolled out in such terrific fashion in Game 4.
I agree with you, Scott. I think that's a great description of how Nashville won game number 4. Is they didn't just hang on, is they dictated how the game was being played by both teams. Scott Burnside is our guest from The Athletic, covering the National Hockey League. At Overtime Scott B is how you follow him on Twitter. It's the Jets over the Nashville Predators on Saturday night, with a chance to close it out on Monday. In terms of other lineup changes that Nashville may see, is there a chance that Ryan Hartman comes out of the lineup again? Because he's looked good at times. He's gotten into penalty trouble and gotten away from a disciplined game at times too. And I thought that happened last night.
Yeah, there's no question. And certainly the game was out of reach, but it was a frustration penalty taken by Ryan Hartman in the third period. He missed on a breakaway and almost immediately took a penalty, which allowed the Jets to score on the power play. Those are the kinds of things that the Predators they're not known for their discipline. I believe they were the most penalized team in the NHL during the regular season. They have at times this spring struggled to stay out of the box. And, it's been such interesting to watch Ryan Hartman, who of course came over in the trade deadline from the Chicago Blackhawks, that in the middle of this series, of course, he gets suspended for a game for a hit on Carl Soderberg in the first round against Colorado. Peter Laviolette did not insert him back into the lineup. He kept him out for several games and then came back in this series against Winnipeg. And playing on the fourth line with Mikko Salamaki and Mike Fisher for 2 or 3 games in a row, right in the middle of the series, they have been a very effective fourth line. And again, both teams love the idea of rolling 4 lines. They have enough depth, they have enough skill that is when they're at their best, when both Paul Maurice and Peter Laviolette can roll 4 lines. And Ryan Hartman, I totally agree with you. I thought he's been very effective, had some chances. He scored the first goal in the critical Game 4 victory in Winnipeg. Looked like it might be the game winner right until the last minute. But he's also, discipline is going to be an issue. And we talked about how important it's going to be for Nashville to score first and to establish a tone. The last thing this Predators team can afford to do, especially early in the game, is get into penalty trouble and send a very, very good Jets team to the power play. And it's not just the top unit. They can send 2 units out that can strike at any moment. And so I don't know whether Ryan Hartman will come out. That's certainly something for Peter Laviolette to consider. But I thought we saw some of that backsliding in terms of the frustration and lack of discipline by Ryan Hartman in Game 5.
In game number 6, I suspect that it's also going to have to be discipline and not getting too overwhelmed by the wave of emotion for the Winnipeg Jets, that once they come into the building, I mean, you talked about the atmosphere in the building. It stretches for blocks around outside as well, with the fans of Winnipeg who have embraced the team is they're going to have to have their emotions under control as well to make sure that they're focused and playing the kind of game that they need to be to get victory and close out the series.
Yeah, it's funny. I asked Blake Wheeler that this morning. I said, you think about what it would mean. What it would mean to go to a conference final, and he's like, "Well, all we want to do is focus on one game. We're looking at this. This is still a very good Nashville team. No one's looking at the implications of a win, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for this Jets team. They obviously closing out Minnesota on the road. They closed them out at home. Sorry, but so they have experience with this, but. I think what we're talking about now is a chance to go into uncharted territory. Team's never been to a conference final. So I think that's something that Paul Maurice will have to make sure that his group doesn't get too overwhelmed, doesn't try and do too much too early, giving the Predators chances either on terms of odd man rushes or early penalty trouble, that sort of thing. But what's been so impressive about this Jets team is that they are so resilient. You think about Game 3 and they got down 3-0 in the first period. Came back to win 7-4. This is a team that I think no team is immune to the emotions of these kinds of situations, but I think this is a team that is so well grounded and their leadership group is so focused and so determined. I really don't think that's going to be an issue in terms of getting out of sorts or thinking too far ahead or anything like that. I'll be surprised if that's what happens in Game 6.
Scott, if I can impose on you for one more quick one. PK Subban, when asked about the game coming up on game number 6 and what happened in game number 5, said, well, we just got to focus on, we're going to go to Winnipeg and we got to win a game and then we're going to come back here. And he was expressing his confidence, and some are now trying to suggest, well, he guaranteed a victory. I can't imagine PK Subban or anyone else in the Predators for that matter saying anything else except, well, our intent is to go to Winnipeg and win.
Yeah, the whole guarantee thing it's a bit of it's a well-worn narrative at these times of years. I think back to the first round and Alexander Ovechkin guaranteed a victory. He was right. John Tortorella guaranteed a victory for Columbus. He was wrong. I don't think you can put, I don't think you can pay much attention to that sort of stuff. And I'm with you. Like, what else are they going to say? Yes, we're cooked. We have no hope. That's not going to happen. So, and good for PK Subban for speaking so confidently. I thought Peter Laviolette really hit the nail on the head, though, in the post-game press conference last night. And he said basically the same thing. There isn't a group I'd rather go into a win one game situation than this group. And he pointed out, and I think quite accurately, this team has been built to play this kind of game. This team has been built to win a Stanley Cup. They went to a final last year. They added pieces. Mike Fisher returns. Kyle Turris is there. Now Kyle Turris has had a mighty struggle this spring, but they've been built for this kind of opportunity and to face this kind of adversity. Now, we're going to find out exactly what they're made of in Game 6, and they are playing against a Jets team that is, yes, second overall in the regular season standings, but boy, right now the way they're playing, I don't see a team in the playoff field that comes anywhere close to what the Winnipeg Jets represent in terms of their focus and then their ability to hurt you in various ways. So, but good on the Predators. That's why I think people regarded this series with such great anticipation, and I don't expect that Game 6 will be anything short of electric and dynamic, and who knows how it's going to play out. Maybe you and I'll be having a conversation about a Game 7 in Bridgestone Arena in Nashville later on this week.
Well, I'd be okay with that. Scott Burnside from The Athletic, at Overtime Scott B is how you follow him on Twitter. I'd say enjoy Nashville, but that would be redundant. But thanks for this, Scott, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Anytime.
Scott Burnside from The Athletic, at Overtime Scott B to follow him on Twitter. Game 6 will be good. I kind of hope it goes 7. I'd like to see it go 7. And in fact, there's other series I'd like to see go 7 as well. We'll look ahead to the Tampa and Boston game number 5. And that's, oh my gosh, I don't know. That's the one of the 4 that I just don't see going 7. The other 3, absolutely. Washington, Pittsburgh, Winnipeg, Nashville, Vegas, San Jose. I could see all of them going 7 games. Boston, Tampa, maybe not so much. We'll talk more about that in our final segment up to the top of the hour. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, our Twitter and Instagram handles. Back with our final segment of the Sunday program right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Final segment of our Sunday program, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, here every Saturday and Sunday, beginning live at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com. We're streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Don't forget, if you miss an episode, you can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes, through iHeartRadio, and of course available on the Hockey Unfiltered app and our website. That includes our midweek podcast named The Little Saturday Podcast. It's a bit of weekend in the middle of the week, and that's why we call it The Little Saturday Podcast. Just our way of keeping the hockey conversation going all week long between our regular Saturday and Sunday programs at 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. There's always some interesting hockey stories going on, so we do our little midweek podcast. They drop on Wednesday afternoons. Make sure you check out our Facebook page and social media feeds as well, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports on Twitter and on Instagram. Getting set for two Sunday matchups. The matinee is Tampa hosting the Boston Bruins. In game number 5 of the series, the Tampa Bay Lightning lead the series 3-1. Mentioned this at the top. Well, I should probably do it again. We're all finished and over with the bad puns about Brad Marchand and the licking thing, right? That's over. We don't need to revisit that anymore. There's no more puns left. I do like a couple of the gifts, though. That's been funny. The Hannibal Lecter mask is good. The cone of shame, the dog cone, that's kind of funny. I like those. You know, if there was a row of people that showed up in Tampa for the game at Amalie Arena, kind of all wearing the cone, and that might be fun. You know, it might be a little difficult sitting with people next to you, though, because you'd both be bumping your cones into one another. So I don't know. I do expect there will probably be a couple of interesting signs. There were at the last time the teams were meeting at Amalie Arena in game number 4. I think the building will be excited. It'll be hyped up, and all the nonsense is over, though. The league had their little chat with Brad Marchand and said, "Hey, keep your tongue in your mouth. any more of this kind of stuff. There's going to be a hearing. There's going to be discipline. Okay, fine. Let's all go back to our lives now that this has all been over and done with. The important stuff is Tampa has the opportunity to be the first team to move on to the conference final. With a victory over the Boston Bruins, they will win the series 4-1, and they will be the first team to secure a spot in the conference final. As we've discussed on this program and on our special pregame shows for the Tampa Bay Lightning home games and away games during the playoffs, this is an opportunity. Closing out a series early is an opportunity. More rest, more time off, it pays off. Maybe not in the next game, maybe not in the next series, but as you go deeper into the postseason, if you are a better rested team than your opponent, it pays off. Tampa needs to look at this as an opportunity, just as they did with the New Jersey Devils. Close it out quickly. Finished in 5. They have the opportunity to do the same thing against the Boston Bruins. A significant loss for the Boston Bruins is defenseman Torrey Krug, who left game number 4 midway through the third period. After sliding awkwardly and hard into the boards, he kind of did the splits and lost his balance and slid in, and his ankle kind of bent in a way that your ankle was never designed to bend. And it was announced yesterday that Torrey Krug would not only be lost for game number 5 of this series, but he is going to be lost for the rest of this series. Now, what does that mean? More Chara, more McAvoy? Well, they were victimized a few times in game number 4 by the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially that speedy second line of Point, Palat, and Johnson. Kucherov with a blistering shot on the power play. Stamkos had another goal, the tying goal. If the offense is all rolling for the Tampa Bay Lightning, that may just be too much for the Boston Bruins to overcome. Tuukka Rask he's been good. Is Tuukka Rask going to have to steal a game to keep this series going for the Boston Bruins? That might be the case. Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak, they've been good, but when they don't generate offense, it's been a difficult task for the Boston Bruins to get anything going. Some support scoring would also help, but it might come on the shoulders of Tuukka Rask. And mentioned the evening game, 7:30 or about a 7:40 puck drop between the Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks Eastern time. It's another potential milestone for the Vegas franchise. After not playing well in game number 4, Gerard Gallant challenged his team. He made a few lineup changes, and his team responded. In game number 5, they scored a victory. They now have a 3-2 lead in the series and a chance to finish off the San Jose Sharks at home. This series, like others, has seen teams win at home and on the road. I don't think it's a real advantage. I will be a little surprised, though, if San Jose doesn't come away with a victory on home ice in game number 6. I don't know that it's going to be a specific challenge that Pete DeBoer will issue, kind of the way Gerard Gallant did, but I will be surprised if San Jose doesn't come up with a victory at home and push this series to 7. Hey, I'm good with the seven game series. For this one, for Winnipeg and Nashville, for Washington, Pittsburgh, I think it's too big an ask for Boston. But I'm good if the rest of them go 7. Martin Jones got pulled after the 4th goal, and I think that was the right move in game number 5. Get him out, get him focused on the next game. We saw Martin Jones bounce back with a terrific effort when he was yanked previously. I think it happens again. I think this one wins. This is a San Jose win tonight, and it pushes the series back to Las Vegas. We're looking forward to a great day of hockey. We'll be back with you again next Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Our thanks to Scott Burnside, to Eli Segall, Scott Billeck, and Sean Gentille, all for joining us on the program. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back again next Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.